All right, so we're going to look at how we interpret slope and y-intercept in word problems or real world context. So our first problem is about Scott and he's taking a hike. It says Scott is hiking a 30-mile portion of the Appalachian Trail. He's traveling at an average rate of 3 miles per hour. So this is our context. And here's what we have to do. We have to write an equation in slope intercept form to represent Scott's remaining distance after X hours. And we need to tell what the y-intercept represents and what does the slope represent. So we're definitely using the um, slope intercept form. So I'm just going to make a note down here. We have y equals mx plus b. And so we know that the m is our slope. Some keywords to figure out our slope. A slope is a rate. We find the rate by looking for words like per, each, for every, things that tell us that this is going to occur over and over again. For our y-intercept, this is going to be intercept. Keywords like start or starting value. We look for initial value, starting point. Sometimes this is a flat fee if we're looking at problems where there may be money involved. You might have to pay a delivery fee, plus you have to pay for each pizza that you buy. And so that delivery fee is you pay one time. The pizza is the rate. For each pizza you pay a rate. And so these are some keywords to help us figure out what is our slope and what is our y-intercept. So let's come back up here. It tells us that Scott is hiking a 30-mile portion of the Appalachian Trail. He's traveling at an average rate of 3 miles per hour. So I see specifically the word rate and I see the word per. So those are both keywords for my slope. So what the number that goes with those, the rate that they're talking about is the 3. So it is 3 miles per hour. So my slope, I'm going to just write it down here, m is equal to 3. Okay? And so then I've got to look for my y-intercept. The y-intercept is his beginning value. So we got to ask ourselves, well, what is he beginning to do? It says he's hiking a portion of the Appalachian Trail. So when he begins, how much does he have to hike? And that is this 30 miles. He begins with 30 miles in front of him. So I don't see any key words there, but I need to ask myself, where is he starting? How much does he have when he begins? And he has 30 miles ahead of him that he has to hike. And so B would be 30. So now that I know M and B, I can write my equation. Y equals, and I want to 3x plus 30. So let's think about this. This means he starts off with 30 miles ahead of him, and we're adding to that 3 miles. Does that seem right? Is he adding 3 miles every time, every hour? Because it tells you that x is hours. So every hour he's adding 3 miles? That doesn't seem right. So as he's hiking, he is taking 3 miles off the distance. So every hour he's getting 3 miles closer to his ending point. So our slope is a negative 3 because his distance is decreasing. And so the way that number, that distance decreases is by putting that negative in front of that rate. So what does that y-intercept represent? What does 30 represent? 30 represents the number of miles he has to hike when he starts. So that keyword there is starts. When he begins, he has 30 miles to hike. The slope now is a -3. And so this represents his rate or his speed. This is how fast he is hiking. It could be, you could say it's his speed of his hiking. He's hiking 3 miles per hour. And it's negative because his distance decreases each hour. Now, if we started and he said, I am going to start here and count how many miles, I don't know where I'm going to stop. I have a friend whose dad hikes the Appalachian Trail, and he's like, I'm not sure how far I'm going to go today. I'm going to stop when I get to a good stopping point. Then the starting value could be 0, and this could be a positive 3x. And so it just kind of depends on the situation. In this situation, he knows he has 30 miles to his stopping point, and so he's getting closer and closer. So that's a decrease. If you were looking at it in the opposite, like how many miles have I walked from my starting point, then it would be you started at 0 and you're adding 3 miles. So again, you just kind of have to look at the context of the situation. All right, so let's look at a different one. We've got some different information here. So I do want to point out to you, in this situation, we were given in the question, we were given the y-intercept and we were given the slope. The second one that we're going to do, we are not given that information. This says, Kelly has a gift card to Dunkin' Donuts. She always buys a medium iced caramel coffee. After buying 2 coffees, she has $13 left on her gift card. After 4 coffees, there's $6 left on the gift card. Write a linear equation showing her gift card balance in terms of how many cups of coffee she purchased. And then what does the y-intercept represent? What does the slope represent? So I want to point out that here we're just given a bunch of information. It says after 2 coffees, that's how much she has left on her card. After 4 coffees, that's how much she has left on her card. So you can remember that we can find the slope-intercept equation if we know 2 points. In the last one, we were given none of the points. We were given this y-intercept and the slope. So I guess that's 1 point and the slope. Here, we are given 2 points. So we're going to use those 2 points, those 2 data points. And so we need to figure out which is our x and which is our y. So if I was to sketch a graph, I have to visualize this. Then I have coffee and I have gift card balance. And so I think I would put the number of coffees down here. And then here I would put gift card. And so this helps me recognize that the number of coffees is going to be X and the amount of money on the gift card is going to be Y. And so with that information, I'm going to come up here and write 2 points. So it says after buying 2 coffees, remember coffees is going to be X, there is $13 left on the gift card. After 4 coffees, there is $6 left on the gift card. So I have 2 points, and now I need to find my slope and my y-intercept. So I am going to put this in what I call a tiny table. And I notice that from 13 to 6, the y value is changing 7, decreasing 7, while the x value is increasing by 2. And so to find my slope, I get my change in y over my change in x. And so that's -7/2. Since we're dealing with money here, I'm going to turn that into a decimal. So I have -350. So I'm going to actually put that down here. M is -350. And then I need to plug in a point in my slope to solve for the y-intercept. So I'm going to do that down here. I'm going to use, I'm just going to do it right here. Y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to use that first point of 213. So I'm going to put 13 in for y. and the 2 goes in here for X. The M value we said was negative 350. Squeeze that in, plus B. So I need to multiply that. Negative 350 times 2 is negative 7. And so I'm going to solve. To get a 0 pair with negative 7, I add 7 to both sides. And I get 20 on the left. That's a 0 pair. All that's left is B. So 20 is equal to B. So to write my equation, I have M is negative 350 and B is 20. So I have Y equals negative 350X plus 20. Now, what does that 20 represent? Remember, we said our Y-intercept represents the beginning. So what did we begin? And again, look at this right here. Remember, I sketched this to see what my variables would be. So if 20 is right here, that's our Y-intercept. That's what B is. What does that mean in terms of our gift card and coffee? And so what that means is for 0 coffees, that's the 0 for coffees, there is $20 in the gift card. So that means the gift card started with $20. It had $20 on it when she got it. That's before she purchased any coffee. And I like to note that because I want the understanding that there was 0 coffee purchased, because remember, our Y-intercept has 2 parts, the 0 and the 20. All right, and then what does the slope represent? The slope is negative 350. So this tells us we start at 20 and we subtract 350 for every what? Remember, X is coffee. So that tells us the cost of each coffee. The gift card decreases. I want to use that word to show that it's negative. 350 for each coffee purchased. And then I want to be real explicit. $3.50 is the cost for 1 coffee. So that is what the slope represents in that problem.